Where am I? I recently got an old CD-ROM running on my computer. This sounds like the intro to a creepypasta about a game given to me by a mysterious old man haunted by the spirits of the people he killed, but rest assured this is no creepypasta, and I wasn't gifted this game by an evil old man. I instead obtained it from a far darker source, the Daily Mail. Forcing technology from 1996 to run on software and hardware that wouldn't exist for another 30 years is slightly Lovecraftian and requires jumping through a few hoops, but in the end it was surprisingly straightforward. Even the install screen is nice. It makes me nostalgic for an era of software that I wasn't alive for, and once it's complete we can finally see what we've been waiting for. Eyewitness Dinosaur Hunter, also known by its file name Dino.exe, which again I know sounds like a creepypasta, but I can promise you that it's real. The only thing haunted in my house is my corridor. Welcome to Eyewitness 3D Dinosaur Hunter for the PC. A quote first spoken by John Hammond in Jurassic Park, and then spoken by me only a few seconds ago. Unlike Jurassic Park, however, this museum is a fully enclosed indoor space filled with recreated skeletons and, for the time, realistic dinosaur models. You can use all 5 of your senses in this game. Looking at dinosaurs, listening to the ambience, tasting your monitor, feeling your monitor, and smelling your monitor. What does it feel like? Don't answer me. There are occasional smaller models on these spinning turntables that play an audio description when you click on them, but the main draw to me as a kid was always just walking around. You start at the beginning of the Triassic and gradually make your way through the Jurassic and stop at the end of the Cretaceous, looking at dozens of dinosaur skeletons and reconstructions along the way. The skeletons are kind of weird though, because I didn't edit this. The music just stops, but I'm sure it's nothing. You can read descriptions, see where they were discovered, and even compare them to each other. Once you make it around the museum, you may be tempted to look inside one of the 2 sclera of this eye-shaped map. On the right, we have the world of the dinosaurs, continental drift, a cool unfolding globe, and various bits of geology, perfect for anyone interested in the physical world of the dinosaurs. Finally, we can head into the Iris, the arena, so named due to the 2 dinosaurs modelled into an eternal combat. Here we can take a closer look at their anatomy, how they fought, how they kept warm, how they ate, and so on. It's all really cool, although this room is by far the hardest to navigate in this game. At the time, this was an amazing educational resource. Combined with Walking with Dinosaurs from 1999, I was definitely inspired as a kid. But of course, the game came out 30 years ago, and that's a very long time in the scientific world. Up until that same year, 1996, both avian dinosaurs, the ancestors of modern-day birds, and non-avian dinosaurs, the ones that went extinct, had a clear divider. Only the avian species had ever been found to have had feathers. Fossils of Archaeopteryx show feather imprints in the stone, and consequently non-avian dinosaurs were imagined as far more reptilian, the very essence of their name, terrible lizards, which can be seen in the reconstructions throughout this game. However, 1996 was also the year that a new discovery was made. In a village in rural China, the species Sinosauropteryx prima was discovered, the first non-avian dinosaur to have feathers, leading us to discover that many dinosaurs may have borne them, not just the ancestors of the birds. This is to say nothing of more recent discoveries too. We can even identify the ginger colour of Sinosauropteryx's feathers now. This is all very simplified of course, but I just want to make the point that paleontology has come an enormous way since 1996. Consequently, Dinosaur Hunter is less of an educational tool today and instead a primary resource, an excellent snapshot into the understanding of dinosaurs in 1996. Now that we've completed our museum tour, there's not a lot left to do except for... What was that? we have one final section left. The 3D interactive museum is amazing of course, but the real bones of this 90s beast lay in a fairly innocuous side door. Dinosaur Excavation. Here we descend down a metal staircase and are faced with a screen allowing us to select a species. And once we do, we go down. Descending further and further into the rock gradually turns the environment darker and darker. For each level, we can swivel around in place, searching. Our aim is to locate bones that match the dino species we selected at the start, which we do by scanning them for their age and comparing them to our skeletal chart. It's not a fast process, but I enjoy the ambience down here. The first dinosaur only requires 4 bones, which even I managed to find fairly quickly, and once we collect them all it's back to the surface. You'd think that the point of this was to build a skeleton, like the ones we've seen so far, right? But no, because once we ascend and place the bones in their slots, we're greeted with this. A bright blue tornado summons these ancient creatures back to life, and the museum seems to think it's a good idea to simply allow them to walk off. The blaring alarm might indicate that they escaped, but if that's the case then they really need to improve their security, because every single dinosaur you revive escapes. Once they're out, you can spot them on your tracker. If you walk towards their location, you can... I both loved and kind of feared this part of the game as a kid. The dinosaurs don't attack you, but I never used to use the tracker, and you can't walk around with it activated. So you can imagine my reaction when I'd be taking a stroll through the Jurassic, only to have the Jurassic take a stroll past me. This really didn't need to be in the game, and I mean that in the best possible way. An interactive, fully explorable museum fits the bill perfectly. There didn't need to be a bonus dinosaur resurrection machine, and that's why I love it. I had a lot of fun finding these bones, and sure it's a little slow going, but I'm not in any rush, and you probably aren't either. The atmosphere of Eyewitness's Dinosaur Hunter is why I remember it the most. It's been well over a decade since I played it, and I could still picture the map, the skeletons, and the dinosaurs roaming around. There were some parts I'd forgotten though, mainly how the atmosphere is honestly kind of eerie. Not just because it's a completely empty space, one that in the real world would be full of people, and not just because I keep running into living dinosaurs which forces us to freeze in place like a fear response, but because some parts feel intentional. Why does the music cut out when you look at these giant predator skulls? Why does the T-Rex roar at you if you look at it on one specific spot? And why is the potentially first thing you see in the game this Velociraptor? You don't have to resurrect anything for this to appear, and you can't find it again. I guess you just have to hope it doesn't find you. I also said potentially, as this doesn't happen every time you begin the game. All of this adds to a vibe I really enjoy. Whether you're going for a stroll through the Triassic, digging for bones underground, or learning about the world of the dinosaurs in 1996, it's simultaneously peaceful yet eerie, like getting lost in the woods. And I don't want to understate how incredible this was for the time, both as a game and an educational resource. It even has a gift shop where you can download dinosaur pictures in everyone's favourite formats, .bmp and .pcx, the latter of which I can't get to open. Fortunately, the wallpapers work just fine 30 years later, and I'm unironically going to use one. The cherry on top of all of this, of course, is that the gift shop even has my favourite song. In all, I think Dinosaur Hunter, Dino.exe, is one of the more unique experiences you can play today. A full-on, educational, cool, weird, eerie, interactive museum. And I hope I inspired... Hang on. Where did he go?